Water conservation is defined as a set of water management practices or strategies to reduce loss of water, reduce the usage of water, and improve the water resources for the welfare of people and the environment. What is the need for conserving water? Water plays a vital role in our day-to-day activities. However, access to clean water in sufficient quantity is one of the major problems in today's world. Due to increased pollution, water has become really unfit for use. Most of the water pollutants are non-biodegradable. It includes agricultural chemicals, industrial effluents, and the discharge of untreated sewage into water bodies. Water can be conserved by afforestation. It is the replanting of trees to compensate for the green cover reduced due to cutting of trees for commercial purposes. Dam construction. The dams are constructed to store water in a huge reservoir. This stored water can be used for irrigation and generation of hydroelectricity. Linking of rivers. It refers to the linking of two or more rivers by building canals manually. During the rainy season, the flood problem can be greatly avoided by channelizing excess water to areas that are dry. Sprinklers. In this method, water is distributed to the crops and vegetation through interlinked network of pipes and sprinklers. It is helpful in preventing water loss due to surface runoff. Proper lining of canals. Canals are lined to save water. Lining of canals prevent water runoffs. Drip or trickle irrigation. In this method of irrigation, water is allowed to drip to the roots of plants with use of combination of pipes and tricklers. This method ensures optimal watering of the plants and prevents water loss due to underground seepage. Rainwater harvesting. It is the process of conserving rainwater for future use. The rainwater is collected in an underground storage tank which can later be used for irrigation and other purposes. Thus, water conservation encompasses the policies, strategies, and activities to meet current and future human demand.
Hello students, welcome to the class. In previous geography class, we have started this chapter 5, water. Here in that class, you learn about water cycle. You learn about terrarium and you learn about different forms of different sources of water available. I explain you all these different major seas, lakes and rivers on the earth. You also learn the distribution of water bodies. In today's class, you will learn about importance of water, why we are facing the shortage of water, ocean circulation. Okay, so can you see this collage? This collage is made up of different newspaper cuttings. Here you can see that different headlines related to water. Ganga amongst 10 dying rivers. Many major rivers in danger of drying out. The water you drink, every drop count. So all these news headlines, news cuttings are telling us about the shortage of water in not in our country but on earth. And water is most important resource for us, not only for quenching our thirst but for other things also. Water is most important for agriculture, for industries, for construction. We need water, right? So here in this activity you can see first question is, why is water important for us? and suggest some ways in which water can be conserved at your home or at your school. Right? So from very young age, you all are learning the importance of water. You all are learning the shortage of water, why there is a shortage of water. So please prepare a very nice note on both this topic, why water is important for us and how can we save some water at home or at school. Okay, so this is today's work you have to do. Our next topic for today is ocean circulation. What is ocean circulation? If we talk about ocean circulation, there is something magical about. If children, have you ever felt that you are walking barefooted on the seashore? The wet sand on beach, the cool breeze, the seabirds, the smell of salty water, and that music of waves. It always fascinating, right? Everything is so fascinating, we always attract towards it. So ocean circulation means movement of water that you have to learn. Here it is written that there is something magical about walking barefoot on the seashore, the wet sand on the beach, the cool breeze, the seabird, smell of that sea water, right? Everything is so attractive. Unlike the calm water of pond and river, no doubt ponds at pond also we can enjoy, at lake also, even at river bank also, at dam also we can enjoy, but it is never comparable as seashore. Because it never still, it continuously moving. So the movement that occurs in the ocean can be broadly categorized as waves, tides and current, right? You must have heard about sea waves, sea tides, ocean currents. So whatever the movements, right, ocean circulations is a combination of all these waves, tides and currents. So whatever the movements happen in the sea water, that can be categorized as sea waves, tides and current. Here you can see a very beautiful picture of Pacific Ocean, right? You can see waves also here, sea beach. This is the picture of Pacific Ocean. Here, do you know, March 22 is celebrated as World Water Day, when the need to conserve water is reinforced, right? So let us talk about these waves, tides and currents. What are sea waves? Waves are formed when winds scrape across the ocean surface. The stronger the wind blows, the bigger the wave becomes. So here it is a simple definition or explanation of sea waves. When water scrape across the ocean surface, when wind scrape across the ocean surface, scrape means move from that surface of the ocean. It carries some water with it, right? And it will rise that level. The stronger the wind blows, the bigger the wave become. When you are playing throw ball on beach and the ball falls into the water, what happens? It is fun to watch how the ball gets washed back to the shore by the waves. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternatively, they are called waves, right? When this sea water rises and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall alternatively, this is called sea waves. During a storm, the winds blowing at very high speed from huge waves. These may cause tremendous destruction also, right? When normally rise and fall of water is there, so we are enjoying sea waves and at the sea beaches. But when there is a storm, when there is a hurricane, wind blowing at very high speed, it will bring tremendous destruction. An earthquake or a volcanic eruption or underwater landslide can shift large amount of ocean water. As a result, huge tidal wave called tsunami, right? You all aware about tsunami. Tsunami is also one kind of tidal wave only, right? But tsunami is a Japanese word that may be a high as 15 meter is formed, right? How tsunami form? An earthquake, a volcanic eruption or underwater landslide. It can be of any of the reason. It can be earthquake inside the ocean, volcanic eruption or underwater landslide, and it shifts large amount of ocean water, and as a result huge tidal waves form. They are called tsunami. It can be of maybe 15 meter or more than. The largest tsunami ever measured was 150-meter high. These waves travel at speed of more than 700 km per hour. Right? You can imagine the speed of wind, and then you can imagine the destruction it can cause. Right? 700 km per hour means in 1 hour we can travel 700. How speedy we will be? So at that speed, wind is blowing and it's scraping out loads of water with it. The tsunami of 2004 caused widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. The Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Island got submerged after the tsunami. Right? Here they have given the explanation of that tsunami. We will discuss, we will read this, so you'll get better idea of that. First, just make it clear. A tsunami is a series of ocean waves, right? I just told you that when normally it is a rise and fall of water, that is a we can enjoy and we can understand also. But when series of wave, it is not a single wave, but when series of wave, ocean waves gathered and send surges of water, sometimes reaching its height of over 100 feet on the land, these walls of water can cause widespread destruction when they crash ashore. Means when it rises around 100 feet, 50 meter, for 50 meter, then it create a water wall, and when it fall on that land, it will submerge all the areas. Now the reason is, as I told you, that earthquake, right, landslide. So these are inspiring waves are typically caused by large undersea earthquake at tectonic plates boundaries. When the ocean floor at a plate boundaries rises or falls suddenly, it displaces the lots of water from it, and launches the rolling waves that become tsunami. Most tsunami, about 80%, happens with the Pacific Ocean. Ring of fire, it is also called ring of fire, a geologically active area where this type of tectonic shifts usually happen. Tsunami may also be caused by underwater landslide or volcanic eruption. They may even be launched, as they frequently were in Earth's ancient past, by the impact of the large meteorites plunging into the ocean. Okay, so these are the important information. Tsunami, as I told you, Japanese word. In English, normally we know it by tsunami only, but in other word we can call it harbor wave, as the harbors get destroyed whenever there is tsunami. So let's have a quick look on this tsunami, the Earth's pandemonium. Right? You now this pandemonium word, it's very familiar to you all. We all are passing through this pandemic. Yes, tsunami or the harbor wave struck havoc in the Indian Ocean on the 26th December 2004. The wave was the result of earthquake that had its epicenter close to the western boundaries of Sumatra. Student, you remember in last chapter I explained you earthquake, right? So this tsunami occurred in 2004, December 2004. It was a result of earthquake, and obviously if earthquake is there, there will be a epicenter. So epicenter was at that time Sumatra in Sri Lanka. The magnitude of the earthquake was 9. It was so high, on the Richter scale. As the Indian plate went under the Burma plate, right? You know that tectonic plate in earthquake this happens. So Indian plate went under the Burma plate. There was a sudden movement of the sea floor, causing the earthquake. The ocean floor was displaced by about 10 to 20 meter and tilted in a downwardly direction. Now you can imagine how it would be. A huge mass of ocean water flowed to fill in the gap that was being created by the displacement, and that displacement, that removing of that mass, was filled by that ocean water. This marked the withdrawal of the lots of water mass from the coastline of the land masses in the South and Southeast Asia. After the thrusting of the Indian plate below the Burma plate, the water mass rushed back towards the coastline. The tsunami travel at a speed of about 800 kilometer, right? In previous paragraph, they have just explained normally tsunami 700 kilometer, but this was more deadly, 800 kilometer per hour, comparable to speed of commercial aircraft, and completely washed away some of the island in the Indian Ocean. The Indira Point in the Andaman Nicobar Island that marked the southernmost point of India got completely submerged. As the wave moved from the earthquake epicenter from Sumatra towards the Andaman Island and Sri Lanka, the wave length decreased with the decreasing depth of the water. Gradually, it started decreasing. The travel speed also declined from 700 to 900 km per hour to less than 70 km per hour. Tsunami waves travel up to a depth of 3 km from the coast, killing more than 10,000 people and affected more than lakh of houses. No doubt, as soon as India got the news, and some earthquake never we cannot predict, never predictable, but some hints got, then this immediately they vacated the nearby villages and all, but then also around 1 lakh houses were affected. In India, the worst effect were the coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Pondicherry, and Andaman Nicobar Island. While the earthquake cannot be predicted in advance, it is possible to give 3-4 hour notice. Right? I was just telling you of a potential tsunami. Such early warning systems are in place across the Pacific Ocean, but not in Indian Ocean. Tsunamis are rare in Indian Ocean as the seismic activities is less as compared to the Pacific. Right, near Pacific Ocean is always prone to have this type of tsunami, so they can easily notice it and they can take some measure. But in Indian Ocean, it was first time it happened. So what people, when they heard about tsunami or this type of harbor waves, they, instead of moving away from that place, they started moving to see that, and in that they lost their lives. So around more than 10,000 people killed by that deadly tsunami. The tsunami that ravaged the South and Southeast Asia coast in December 2004 is the most devastating tsunami in the last several hundred years. The large damage caused to life and property was primarily a result of lack of monitoring. Because our coastal areas, they have never faced this type, so they were not aware about this. So monitoring was less, one reason they found. The early warning system knowledge among the coastal dwellers of Indian Ocean, and they were not having that warning system, knowledge of this kind of disasters were not there. The first indication that tsunami is approaching is the rapid withdrawal of water from the coastal region, followed by destructive waves. So till that time, it alarm in the people's mind, it started destroying all the things. When this happened on the coast, instead of people going to high ground, they started assembling at the coast to view the miracle. And as a consequence, there was a large casualty of curious onlookers when the gigantic wave struck. As I told you, that people thought that it's something miracle, it's happening in our Indian Ocean first time, so let us go and see. So on these all lookers, this wave submerged, and these all people submerged in that wave. So this is how tsunami destroy lots of people, kill lots of people, destroy lots of properties. Okay. Next topic is tide and ocean currents that we will do in next class. Hope children you know about, you get the idea of tsunami and you get clear this point, sea waves and ocean circulation. Watch this video along with which I am attaching, that is also give you more information related to topic. See you children.
When the wind blows across the water, it changes the water surface, first into ripples and then into waves. Once the surface becomes uneven, the wind has an ever-increasing grip on it. Storms can make enormous waves, particularly when the wind blows in the same direction for any length of time. When wave energy passes through water, the water moves in a circular motion. Energy is passing from left to right in this animation, but the water itself stays at the same location. moves across the water, it changes the water surface, first into ripples and then into waves. Once the surface becomes uneven, the wind has an ever-increasing grip on it. Storms can make enormous waves, particularly when the wind blows in the same direction for any length of time. When wave energy passes through water, the water moves in a circular motion. Energy is passing from left to right in this animation, but the water itself stays at the same location.